Hello friends, you're welcome to my channel. I want to especially thank my subscribers. Thank you so very much for all of your support. I'm so excited today to bring this tutorial to you. And if today is your first time of tuning this channel, you are welcome. Please do well to hit the subscription button and tap on the bell by the side so that whenever I upload a new video, you will receive notification. So today I'll be teaching how to cut and sew off shoulder bustier. So I have Ankara fabric here with me, but I will draft it on my pattern paper and transfer it to the fabric. It's a half length off shoulder from. So this top I will be doing the half length from the upper part to the half length. What I will be drafting right now. So I will be working with the measurements. This line you'll see here is my starting point. So this my paper is unfold. This is how we normally do it. It's folded into two, and this line you're seeing here is my starting point. So when you're to draft or cut an off shoulder, it depends on the person. Now, if you're making this for this size of person, the bust is 44 inches, while the shoulder is 18 inches. So if I want to make this off shoulder for this person, and I know that the person will not like the sleeve to fall off too much, so I will minus 5 inches from the upper part. Whenever I'm cutting an off shoulder, I do not waste my fabric. Like if I'm cutting now on a fabric, I can't waste my fabric to cut the full length and now cut all of this off, or even on a pattern paper, because I know I'm going to minus something from the upper side. So I do not add the full length like that, because it's going to be a waste for me. Your client said she wants the off shoulder to fall a little bit for this size of person, 44, 45, 48. You can minus 6 inches from the upper side. But if you're making it for someone who bust is something to 40, you can minus 4.5 inches or 4 inches from it, from the upper part. If the person said, if your client said she does not want the sleeve to fall off from her shoulder, you use 4 inches. She wants the sleeve to cover the bra, you use 4 inches. But if she wants the sleeve to fall from 30 something, 40, then you use 5 inches or 5. But for this person, the sleeve is not going to fall too much, so I will be using 5 inches. I hope I've made myself clear. This person now, I'm going to minus 5 inches. Are you seeing now? This is 5 inches. I just minus 5 inches from the upper part. So the bust point for this person is 12.5 inches. I will go ahead and mark 12.5 inches like this. Then the under bust length is 16 inches. So I will mark 16 inches. My tape is still there. Now the half length, that is where this top will stop. The half length is 18.5 inches. So I'm going to add 1.5 inches to it. You can add 1 inch, it will still be okay. So I'm going to connect these lines together. So I finished connecting my lines together. The next line I will mark now. The next line to mark now is my upper bust line. So I will still minus the 5 inches like so. Then I will mark my, and do that you divide your round sleeve into 2 and use it to mark your armhole line. Or you divide your bust into 6 and add 1.5 inches to it. So I will be using 9 inches here to mark my armhole line, which is going to serve as my chest line. I'm going to connect it like this. So this will be my chest line now. I just indicate my lines now. This is my bust line, under bust line, and the half length line. And this one is my armhole line, also the chest line. Now explain something to you, more special for beginners. You see, I place my tape from the upper part to mark the bust line, which is 12.5 inches. The bust line of this person is 12.5 inches, and the under bust is 16 inches. I did not add any sewing allowance to it because why? It's off shoulder bustier. Now, to the half length, I added 1.5 inches to it. I also told you that you can use 1 inch, but 1.5 inches is better, because by the time you cut the neck, join the upper part, the sleeve, and join the down, you find out that you're running out of allowance. So 1.5 inches is the best allowance to add. Now, if you're making this bustier, this off shoulder bustier with a square neck, you're not going to cut round neck, you're not going to cut V neck. When you minus whatever you minus at the upper part, whether 5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, you make the under bust to be, you reduce the under bust by 1 inch. That is if it's a square neck, that is 4 corner neck, that you're not cutting neck, you're going to just sew it and turn it like that. So you reduce the under bust length with 1 inch. But anyone that you will cut round neck or V neck, by the time you sew and turn, you have to just use the same under bust length. Do not add anything to it if you want your cup to fit perfectly. Like this one, I did not add anything to it. I only added the length at the down part. So having said that, the next thing I will mark now is my nipple to nipple. Take your own measurement. The nipple to nipple of this person is 8 inches. 8 inches divided by 2, that will give me 4 inches. So I'm going to add half inch to it. The half inch will help me join the center front to the side. So I will go ahead and mark the 4.5 inches like this. I'm going to mark it to the upper part also, 4.5 inches. Then I will connect it like this. So this is my that line now. When I said I'm so excited for bringing this tutorial to you, I know what I'm talking about, because this method that I'm giving to you is one of the simplest methods for beginners. You can cut it and just sew it. It's very simple and you will get a good, perfect result. So I'm going to come to this center now. This is my under bust. This is my bust line. So this under bust line, I'm going to go in by 1.5 inches. Watch what I'm doing. 1.5 inches like this. Now to this full length, to the half length, I'm going to use a 1 inch like so. Now I will connect these lines together like this. Then from my bust points, I will come down by 1 inch. This 1 inch is to help me curve the bustier very well, so that to accommodate the breast. I'm going to use a dotted line, connect it like this. I like using my free hand. Then to my bust line, I'm going to come up by 1 inch. So I will extend this line up to this 1 inch now. Now to this side, I'm going to mark also 1.5 inches. It's very simple. So I'm going to use, I will use my dotted line like this. I will connect it to this point. Now I will come to the side. I'm going to mark 1.5 inch also. I'll place my tape from that center line. I'll mark 1.5 inch like this. You can use the same 1.5 inch to the down part, because we'll have enough allowance by the side. Now I'm going to connect it together like so. Then from this point, this is my 1 inch that I came down with. So I'm going to, let me turn my paper this way so that I can connect it like so to this 1 inch like this. Okay, I bring it back again. Now to the side, the upper part, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches also. And permit me to turn the paper again. I hope you're seeing like this. So I will connect my hand from this 1.5 inch and I will blend it to this 1 inch like so. Now this is very simple for anybody to cut. If you are using this, let me also explain something to you. In case you are using it for a square neck, just like I explained about the length, the under bust length and the bust length. If you are using it for a square neck, you know you're not going to cut neck. Like this one is round neck, I want to use it for V-neck, it's okay, for sweetheart, it's okay. But for square neck that you're not going to cut anything at the upper part, you use this place 1/4. You see this upper part, just use 1/4 of an inch. But because I'm going to cut neck, you will see that the length of this blouse will drop. And when the length drop, if I check from this point where the length drop, you will see that it's 1 inch I will be having. And that is why I normally use 1.5. Anyone that I will cut neck. But if you're not going to cut neck, use 1/4 or 1 inch. But I advise you to use 1/4. So now how to know the neck, how to mark the neck. Now, see if I check from this center front now that I've marked the bustier, when I join this center front, what I will have here left will be 2.5 inches. So I'm going to bring that 2.5 inches like this to this point. I see the way I'm placing my tape. I'm going to mark it here, 2.5 inches. Then, you know, we minus 5 inches from the upper part. So that 5 inches is the neckline. So I'm going to mark that 5 inches like so. I see like this. And remember that I will also join this side and join the armhole. So I'm going to add 1 inch to it for safety. So I'm going to add 1 inch to it. So from this point now, I can now mark my armhole line like this. So from this point now, I can mark my armhole line like so. I see now. Now the next thing to do, if you want to cut your neck on this pattern paper, so you fold your line like this. See the line now, you bring this side now to the center front and fold it like this. Just allow it to relax like this. Then you can mark the neck now. It's 5 inches, right? So you mark, this is the 5 inches. Now let me fold in the sewing allowance also. Okay, so I will mark again. This will be my 5 inches now. So because it's round neck, I'm going to minus the 5 inches at the upper part. From this starting point line is what from the starting point line is where I'm placing my 5 inches. So I will go ahead and mark. You can use 2 inches to be the neck depth. You can use 1.5 inches. It's a choice. It depends on what you want, you and your clients. So I'm going to curve it like this. So this is my neckline now. I see now. You can use 1.5 inches if you don't want the neck to come down. Just a high round neck. Now, but for me, I'm not going to cut it on this pattern paper. I'm going to join my bustier line. This is how I normally do my work. I'm going to join the bustier line before I cut the neck. But if you want to cut your own, you can just cut it out like that. So having said that, now the next thing I will start marking my bust circumference. The bust round is 44 inches. So 44 inches divided by 4, that will give me 11 inches. I will go ahead and mark 11 inches like this. So when I cut this bustier out, I will lose at least 1 inch from this part. I'm not going to lose much, so I will just replace that 1 inch like this. Then I will add my seam allowance, my sewing allowance. I can add 2 inches. You can add 1.5 if you're perfect. Sorry, this is my bust line that I marked. I want you to see it clearly. This is where the 11 stop. I added a 1 inch because of the bustier that I will cut out here. 1 inch. Then I add ½ inch. So I added 2 inches for seam allowance. I say now the upper bust. The upper bust is 42 inches. 42 inches divided by 4. That will give me 10.5 inches. So I will check what I will be losing here. I'll be losing 1.5 inches. I'm going to replace it back. Then I will add my 2 inches seam allowance like so. I'm going to connect it to the bust line. Then I will come again to the under bust. The under bust circumference is 37 inches. So 37 inches divided by 4, that will give me 9 1/4. I'm going to mark 9 1/4 here. Then I will check what I will be losing here because of the bustier. Sorry, what I will be losing here is 3 inches. So I'm going to mark my 3 inches like this. Then I will add 2 inches seam allowance like so. Then I will connect it like this. Then I will check my half length circumference is 39 inches. So 39 inches divided by 4, that will give me 9 3/4. I'm going to mark 9 3/4. Then I will check what I will be losing here. I will lose 3 inches from this line. So I'm going to replace it back 3 inches. Then I will add my seam allowance 2 inches. My seam allowance 2 inches. Then I will connect it like this. Now, how to get the size of this paper? Please, you just fold the biggest measurement, which is the bust. In this case, you divide it into 4 since the paper is folded into 2, and you add 5 inches to it, so it will help you to draft. So now the next thing I will mark again is from the side like this. I like to go in by 1 inch if I'm cutting a half length like this because of the bust and the shoulder. The side and the center are not the same. I always take away 1 inch like this and blend it to the length, as you see now, to make my top sit perfectly. So having said that, I'm going to cut it out now. So remember that this part now is not needed. I will take it off. Okay, so I will start from the center front. And when cutting it, don't make the bustier to be too sharp. You have to make it curve. Okay. So now there's something I normally do. When I finish cutting the front, the center front like this, since I use the same 1.5 inches, I'm going to just pick it and place it like this, as you see now, so that the bustier, both side and center will curve the same way. So I'm going to cut it like this now. So I cut it like this. Now I haven't done that. I'm going to notch quickly the under bust like this, and also notch this part, the under bust, like so. So the next thing I will cut is the side and the armhole. So I'm going to keep the front aside and bring the back. I want to manage this paper that I have here for the back. Now this line you're seeing here is my zipper line. This is my zipper line, and this one you're seeing here is my starting point. So all my measurements will be starting from this point. Now I'm going to place my tape also from the starting point and minus the 5 inches. So remember that the bust line is 12.5 inches. I will go ahead and mark. The under bust is 16 inches. I mark. Then the half length is 18.5. I added 1.5 inches to it. So I will be marking 20 here. So I will connect all my lines together like this. Now to the bust line. So these are my lines now. I finished connecting them together, and this is my chest line. That is the armhole line, the same thing we did in front. On bust line, under bust line, and the half length. Now the next thing I will mark again is the nipple to nipple. I use 4.5 inches in front, so I'm going to mark 4.5 inches like so. So I will connect my lines together like this to the bust line. Now to mark my darts from the under bust, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch this way, 1/2 inch this way. Then I will connect it to the down part like this, 1/2 inch this way also, 1/2 inch at the down part. Then I'm going to connect it to the bust line like this. Sorry, I'm using my free hand. So now I will extend the dart line, the nipple to nipple, to the upper part. I will connect it to the upper part like this. So I will just blend it like so. For the measurement, okay, now to the neck, I'm going to check what I have here. This is my zipper line. What I have here, if I finish joining I will have 3.5 inches. So I'm going to place my tape like this, 3.5 inches like so. So I will mark the 5 inches neckline. I'm going to add 1 inch to it, the same thing that we did in front. So from this part, I can now connect my hand to the armhole line like this. So this is my armhole now. I'm going to add my bust now. The bust measurement is 44. So I will mark it like this. Then I will add my... Now I'm not going to use sewing allowance at this back because of my paper. I'm going to just mark exactly the measurements, what I will lose from this dart area. From this bust line, I will lose like 3/4 inch. So I'm going to add it like this, 3/4 inch. Then from the under bust, which is 37 inches, so 37 divided by 4, I'm going to add it like this. I'll check what I will be losing here. 1 inch, I'm going to add it back. So you see my paper, I have a shortage of paper, so I'll just connect my hand like this. Now the upper bust is 42 inches. I will go ahead and mark 42 inches. Then I will add, what I will be losing here will just be like 1/2 inch. I'm not adding sewing allowance yet. I will just connect it like this. So the half length is 39 inches. I will go ahead and mark 39 inches like this. What I will be losing here is just 1 inch. I'm going to add it like this. So from the side, the same 1 inch that I remove from the side, I'm going to remove it like this and blend my hand to the line like so. And if you want to cut your own neck, you can also fold this like this and mark the neck. If you want the back to be deeper than the front, you can come down by 3 inches to make it 8 inches, because the front is 7 inches, which I said you can use 1.5 to make it 6.5. It depends on what your client wants. So you go ahead and mark, but like my own, I'm going to join the bustier, then I will cut the neck together with the fabric. Now to the zipper board, from the upper side, I minus that same 5 inches. Then I will find the line. I normally come down by 9 for tall people. For short people, I use 8. So for this person, I'm marking 9. I mark 9. So from this 9, I'm going to take in 1/2 inch like so. I will keep marking 1/2 inch like so. I will take it out till down because of the half length like this. Because it's half length, so I will take it till down. Then from this down, then from this 9 inches now, I can now curve my hand out like this. I see now. So this is how you remove the zip shape. I call it zip shape. Now, remember that I said the length in front and the back in most cases are not the same. So I will place my tape from the upper part. Now for this person, the back length, I'm going to use 18 inches like this. So this is my 18 inches. But because of sewing allowance, So I'm going to add that 1.5 inches back like this. I see now. So what I'm taking out from the back is just like 1/2 inch. It depends on the person, so you just have to measure your client and know what to remove. I'm going to blend it into this line. So see what I have now. This is the shape at the back. So I will go ahead and cut it out now. Let me start from this point. Make sure you add your sewing allowance. Because of my paper, that is why I'm using like this. I will take this line off like so. This says that. So immediately notch the zipper line like so that you will know the zipper line and the princess that. So I'm going to transfer all of this to a fabric, then we will start sewing. Okay, so I finished transferring the pattern papers to the fabric. See what I have here. This is the center, and I added my hairstyle to it. I've already gummed it with hairstyle. I'm going to show you how I cut the pad. Because of light, I have to gum all of them together. Now this is the lining, the two sides, the back, the lining. So I finished cutting all of them. I use a soft gum, which is the tissue gum, white one, to gum the lining. So why you're seeing this one like this is because I use black hairstyle to gum the material, the Ankara fabric, and this one is the white gum. So I'm going to show you how I cut the pad, even though I have it on my channel. Though that one is shoulder on, this one is off shoulder. How I cut the pad. So this is my pad. It's the yardage one that I'm using for this tutorial. So I fold it into two like this. Then I will pick the center front. You remember I will notch the under bust. So you place the under bust like this. This is where the pad is going to stop. And you just cut it out like so. So I'm just using this pad to show you. I've already gummed this particular one now. Now from the neckline, from that starting point, you mark 2 inches. Let me use this for you to see. I'm going to mark 2 inches from this starting point like this. So this is where the pad will stop. So I will take it out and cut it like this to that 2 inches. So immediately you notch the upper parts like so that you know up and down. Then you bring it out to cut the side. You bring it like this and place it and give a extra half inch. Extra half inch here. That half inch is to help you curve the round. I will still cut it out to show you what I mean. So this is the side now. I'm going to open it like this. And I know that this is my upper part. So I will pick my marker like this and create a round shape. You know how our body is. So you give this round shape. If you check what I remove from here is 2 inches. Okay, I can also make the down 2 inches also. Yes, 2 inches like this. Then I will cut it out. That half inch is to help me carve this round. That half inch that I added by the side. Then immediately I'm going to notch the upper part like so. So this is my upper part. This one is already notched. So this is my upper part. Now for the neck, Since I'm going to cut neck, I reduce this by 2 inches, you remember, by 2 inches. But if you're going to cut neck like round neck or sweetheart, which the center will come down more, so I'm going to slant this center down a little like this and give it a round shape like so. So this is how I cut my pad. If you check, you see that it's the same thing with this one. Are you seeing now? So it's the same thing. You go ahead and gum it. This pad has a gum on it. You place it like this and you gum both front and back. The same thing to the side. Having said that, now I'm going to join on my bustier. I'm going to hold the center front like this. Place this one like so. Go to the machine and sew it with a 1/2 inch. That same 1/2 inch that we added, I'm going to sew it down. Then I will pick this one also and sew it like this. The same thing I'm going to apply to the lining. I'm going to apply to the lining. Then the back, I'm going to join the princess dart like so. I will join it and also join the lining. Then I will come back to show you what's next. So I've finished joining the bustier. See how it is. This is the back. And I forgot to tell you that the same way that I cut the pad for the Ankara, I also cut pad for the lining. And I normally use strong Bustier for it. But this one here, I use what we call wadding. The soft one of this pad, the softest one of this pad is what I use here. Sometimes I use Bustier for it. So I finished joining the bustier and I ironed the inside with my breast pusher. If you don't know how to, so I iron the inside with my steaming iron. You can use water if you don't have steaming iron. Open all the lines, and I also notch under the bust. I just give a cut here so that when I iron it and turn it to the front, it will be flat. You can also notch this part if you want to. You can also notch this part, but you have to be careful when notching it. So I iron it and turn it to the front, and I also ironed everywhere. The same thing to the lining is well ironed. So I also joined the back, the princess dart, and I iron the two back. The lining, I ironed it. So now that I've finished ironing everywhere, I can now cut the neck. So I can now cut the neck now that I've finished ironing this bustier and the back. You know, I draft neck on a pattern paper, which I didn't cut out. This is when I normally cut the neck. Now that I've finished with the bustier, and one thing you must know, make your bustier very well and make sure that the both sides are equal. If you see that one side is bigger than one side, you can adjust to the other side to come up, release some allowance to come up. If there is no allowance that side, you brush this other side that is bigger to come down. Make sure that the bustier are equal before you cut neck and continue your work. Now you can ask a question, why will one side be bigger than one side? Didn't we cut it equal? Yes, we cut it equal, but sometimes when you're ironing it, you find out that the fabric will shift to some side. So you have to observe that before you continue your work. Now to cut this neck, I will use this pattern paper to cut the neck, because I just changed my mind on the kind of sleeve I want to fix on this off-shoulder blouse, because I don't have more fabric. So I will fix the kind of sleeve that I can use ruffle. I want to bring it back to shoulder again. Are you seeing what I want to do? I want to bring it back to shoulder blouse again, so that it will suit the kind of sleeve that I want to fix on this blouse. So that one will be another tutorial. So I will keep this one aside and use this pattern paper to cut the neck for you, which I drafted it when we were cutting. So, but I will still have to explain some things to you. This is the mark where I marked when I was cutting it -5. I marked 7 inches from the center -5. So I can go ahead and cut it now. If you measure here, it's still the 5. for this measurement, but for a slim person you can use 4 inches. So I'm going to cut the round neck out now. So you see the neck. So see what I have now. See, even with the paper, the bustier is kicking out. So see the off shoulder now. This is my size. The 5 inches is my size. So I will keep the front aside. Now this is the back. I will also minus 5. You want to decide the back neck. I will also mark the 5 inches like this. For this measurement, if you're using 4, you use 4. If you're using 4.5, you use 4.5. So I'll minus the 5 for the off shoulder. That is for the sleeve. Then you decide the deepness of the neck. The front, I use 7 inches. I can decide to use 8 inches at the back to make the back deeper than the front. It depends the person. So I will use my dotted line like so and connect. So this one now will be the back neck. Cutting it. So I will cut it out like this. This is my back neck now. Now, if you're lining and you place it on this neck, you sew from the back and turn it to the inside. You know how we normally do to close the side, lining to lining, fabric to fabric. If you've been following me for some time now, the same thing to the back. You can turn the zipper line, no problem, but the side, make sure it's lining to lining so that the allowance will not disturb the skin of the person. Now the next thing to do before how to fix the sleeve, one of the difference between up shoulder and shoulder. If you check when we are cutting the armhole, I minus 5 for the sleeve and I just mark 9 and curve the shape like shoulder armhole. But now when to fix the sleeve, you can now brush it out. After turning the lining with the neck, now you know the size. You can see the shape of the armhole sleeve for off shoulder. It's not like the shoulder one like this. It's curved this way. So now I'll pick my sleeve like this and make sure that this armhole are equal. So you see now, I'll place it like this and give this shape now. The same thing with the sleeve. So I'm going to cut it like this. So the sleeve hole will now be like this. So you see the difference between off shoulder and shoulder, just a slight difference. You see what I remove here? Let me check. Up and down is like, it's not up to 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch. You just brush it out like that, and when you brush it out like this, your dress will fit perfectly. So this is how far I can go on this tutorial. I'm going to do a video on up shoulder sleeve. I'll drop it on the channel so that you know how to cut basic sleeve for up shoulder, different type of up shoulder sleeve because of time. Then this one, how to fix this band, is going to be another short video like that, because I don't want to confuse beginners. To bring this one now to join with this one, it will confuse some people. So thank you so very much for watching. Please make sure you press like for me on this video. See you in my next video.